Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Welcome to Navtastic, podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandes, and
I am Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
And we're reviewing Laverne and Shirley Go to Night School, an episode from season 4 of Laverne and Shirley. Directed by Lowell Gans and written by Marc Sotkin, and I bet you Chris has some facts about both of them.
Yes, I do. So, Marc Sotkin, it's yet another episode from the man, the myth, the creator of the YouTube show Boomer Alley. So he's done multiple episodes of the show. He worked as a producer on the show. This one in particular, as an example, is his 8th of 11 episodes that he wrote. But so a little backstory I was able to find out, because it turns out this guy, has done interviews and things like that. I'll have a link to the article below. But at the in Boulder, Colorado, he did a talk on stage.
Yeah.
And he admitted apparently that as a young boy, he would often fake illnesses to stay home from school and watch sitcoms. He later tried pursuing pre-law and pre-med, as many Jewish mothers ask of their sons, and kept gravitating toward writing. And he started his career as an underwear salesman in Texas, but quickly decided that nothing could be worse, so he moved to Hollywood in 1975 to pursue his dream to be a television writer. And we'll come back to this interview article piece as well, but I will link it below. It's an article from the BoulderJewishNews.org from 2015. After this episode, he's going to disappear for a bit. He will disappear for a while after Chorus Line, but then he returns much later in the show as a writer.
Yes.
So speaking to Lowell Gans, obviously, as we know, was one of the kind of spearheads of getting the show off the ground, and yet this was his first time directing.
Yes.
And Lisa, you have a story a bit about that, if I recall.
There was a story in the Laverne and Shirley biography episode. Penny Marshall described Gantz's experience of directing this episode as being like losing his virginity to a mean lady.
So it's the thing you want, but yet it's happening in a really uncomfortable, highly critical fashion.
Yeah, or roughly, very roughly.
Very roughly, yeah.
In a fun way.
So basically, he had bad snoo for his first outing as a director.
Yeah. Broken pelvis and all.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. One leg, one pelvis, still grinning.
So he'd stay primarily as a writer on Laverne and Shirley, but Lowell, I have to say, this is his only directing credit for this show.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
So what you say tracks a bit. His later directing credits do include the pilot episode of Brothers and Sisters, an episode of his own show Making It, 5 episodes of Angie, and then he closed his directing career in the 1980s with Joni Loves Chachi. The episode specifically, No Nudes is Good News. I guess maybe that was a pro... I don't know. What is that? A pro-Tumblr censorship episode? I don't know.
I'm almost 100% sure that Joni tries to do modeling to get money for her and Chachi, and he objects. I think so. I'm not sure, though. I have never watched all of Joni Loves Chachi, even though that's on DVD and Blansky's Beauties is not.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the Blansky's Beauties crossover episode, CBS. I need it. I've never seen it. Please give it to me.
Give it. Listen, we got a goat, we got a chicken. How many blood sacrifices are we talking here? Like, just give us a number. Just give us a number.
Poor thing. Never.
Don't do live sacrifice, animal sacrifice, children. Don't do that.
Oh, God.
Anyway. But anyway, so with that in mind, that's way off the rails of that. That's great. No, this is wonderful. I mean, hey, we're gonna. This really is going to this once we get to the episode, I think it's gonna figure. But anyway, that's all the notes I have for this. Before we get into the synopsis, because we already have the title. Yes. My mother had an initial thought when I mentioned the teacher was going to be a jerk, and she said, "Oh, is it like night school?" So she claims that she figured it'd be a night school because they're working, but at the same time, like, Mom, you went to night school, didn't you?
She knows. She's been there. She knows.
Anyway, please continue.
This is what this episode is about. Shirley signs Laverne herself up for night school courses in the hope that they'll make buku bucks as a pair of medical assistants. Unfortunately, Laverne is all thumbs in their anatomy class, and her negative experience with a demanding and mean-spirited teacher who seeks to kick her out of the program leave her a bundle of nerves. It takes a pep talk from Frank to make Laverne realize her own self-worth and Shirley's gentle help to figure out where her strongest suit is. Meanwhile, Frank and Laverne run interference for Shirley with a bloodthirsty Edna when Cheryl starts feeding a wild mouse taking up residence in the building that Shirley's named Twinkle. What do you think of this episode?
How can you kill anything named Twinkle?
That Twinkle subplot's so cute.
Yeah, it's so cute. The setup and payoff to that is really good. For this episode, it's interesting. You know, I can be, I hate to be arbitrary about this, but there are some cases where mean characters can be really like hurtful and annoying, and I think it just kind of hits a certain nerve for me.
Yeah.
I loved the character of Mr. Wilner in this.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have to, at the top of the, right out the gate, like, this is a character I kind of wish had shown up repeatedly.
Yeah.
Because he's so good. We'll get to talking about him in depth, and because I have notes about the actor and everything, and I want to talk about the episode first. But that was really good. But overall, the episode is funny. It's wonderful physical comedy. It's a very interesting. It's interesting. I like the message of it, especially that kind of comes around the actual, you know, the lesson. You know, it's like, today I learned that the whole concept that what interests you will often be where you have success. Yes. And that, you know, what you like to do, what you enjoy doing, not what you're good at, but that what is it you have an interest in.
Yeah, your passion.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of my initial thoughts. Yes.
I think the reason why the teacher character comes off so well is because he's done with the girls by now. This is apparently several weeks. When we get the scene involving him, they're apparently several weeks into the course. And Shirley has been that specific and controlling and nitpicky the whole time. And Laverne's been that lazy and not even really lazy. She's not being lazy. She's just not good in that kind of classroom atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
The combination of the two of them are likely to drive a guy like him who's already under enough stress as it is bonkers. So in a way, he makes sense. In a way, he makes sense in this setting. Laverne's struggle here is so nice and so relatable. Well, it's not nice for her, but it's nice for the audience, you know, to find something to relate to in her.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us have felt stupid at some point or another when they've gone to some sort of class and felt out of place and wanted to be smart and wanted to have the answers, but just failed because the material did not work for us. That's me when it comes to math. For Laverne, it's anatomy and it's medical system classes. There's two really nice key scenes besides the part where the poor skeleton falls apart in their hands.
Yeah, way to murder the lost skeleton of cadaver, Laverne.
Poor Mr. Repulsi. Poor Mr. Repulsi. The Frank and Laverne scene is so beautiful.
Oh, it's
really beautiful. We got to talk about that in depth in a little bit. And Laverne Shirley's end cap scene where Shirley tries to help Laverne keep going to school, keep getting some kind of education, and make something of herself in a field where she will thrive. She comes to realize, oh yeah, my best friend excels at physical tasks. She's, you know, tomboyish. She likes to dance. I'll get her this class. No. This episode made me realize that Laverne would be a great phys ed teacher.
Yeah. You know, you're right, between that and the obstacle course.
Yeah, and she does all kinds of physical things. She's in the Shots baseball team. We're going to talk about that later. That comes up later, I think either this season or next.
Yeah, it was referenced once, though, because we saw her come back.
Yes. Take my plants, please. Yes. In that episode. But Shirley has that light bulb about Laverne. Oh, yeah, this is what she's good at. I'm good at something else. No, she's an average student, as we found out here.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley Feeney pulled straight C's in their high school class, yet somehow Andrew Squigman was the valedictorian.
I still say that says a lot about the curriculum and the school system of their district.
What was going on in that high school? Oh, what was going on in that high school? Man,
part of me wonders was it secretly the place of either military drug testing or alien body snatcher invasion?
Oh gosh.
And so the person who was the teacher didn't know what actual intelligence was, or thought that, well, A is the first letter and C is the third letter. So the A means that they're early, so that means they're less refined. C is a later letter, that means they're more refined. And they didn't understand how the rest of the human race was going to take that.
Yeah, it's also possible that Squiggy is good at a certain type of testing, because we can see him rattle off facts accurately and with speed in like the episode prior to this one.
Oh,
the
yeah.
show episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's bad at like trying to visualize a answer to a question, like in the driving test episode.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to that kind of learning and kind of textbook learning, he might be just good at memorizing and repeating facts. So I'm sure that'll end up not being true. Lenny's bad at that, and we'll get to that in season 6. But
it's interesting. Yeah, the whole element of where it's about, what is you're good at and the different types of learning and things like that. Those were all aspects I really enjoyed about it. And in the middle of all that, of course, is these goofy physical comedies. The amazing harsh teacher, and I thought it was an interesting choice, and I'm curious how intentional this was. That they made Shirley and Laverne look like teenagers in the classroom, and everyone else looks like an adult. Like everyone else looks at least 5 years, like 3, even though they're probably the same age, in some cases younger than them, as the actors are. And yet they all are dressed in a way that is less loud, that's less colorful. They're like, even the way that they laugh and like, because they start to eat up, the chaos that's starting to happen in front of them, and they're starting to like try to hold it in. And it feels as if they are adults that are watching children essentially. And they're, as like you do in a classroom setting, you're just putting up with it. And it just was an interesting way of specifying the difference of that. This is not necessarily where they belong. And, that Shirley is now, as she moves, as we then see later on, Shirley then begins to realize what she's gotten herself into.
Yeah, exactly. Shirley has these grandiose ambitions, and we know that she's smart. We know that she has a drive for certain things. So no wonder she thinks that this is going to be a good thing for her. And we find out that she kind of has heavy sledding later on in the course when she has to do a bunch of memorizing. She spent a whole night up trying to learn all these facts and keep them for the test. But, yeah. Shirley is one of those people who absolutely has faith in an unshakable manner, in an unshakable way, in herself. She believes in herself and that she can do this thing no matter what.
Yep.
So,
although she is terribly codependent with the fact that she needs Laverne to be there. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. My mom like immediately recognized that, and I immediately recognized. I mean, I remember talking about this when we were watching the episode, and my mother's comments. It's just it doesn't want to go. It basically it's not fair, for Shirley to talk Laverne into it, and to goad her into it, and then and the amount of begging and everything that she does to get try to get the teacher to keep Laverne on, even though Laverne is sort of like, good, I'm gonna get kicked out and get my tuition back. This is a good thing,
Exactly. Shirley being codependent towards Laverne is a really interesting twist. Season 5, there's the notion that Laverne is codependent on Shirley. We got a whole episode about that. Yeah, that's coming. But yet, it's I know we obviously need the plot to go this way so that we can have an episode. But there's absolutely no reason why Laverne couldn't have picked out her own course from the list and done her thing while Shirley was doing her thing. She could have done that from the start. But Shirley has this vision where the two of them are living their lives and living them together and living them on a parallel line. And because she wants the white-collar marriage, then Laverne's going to want the white-collar marriage. She's going to have 3 kids, Laverne's going to have 3 kids. She's going to have a dog, Laverne's going to have a dog. It's kind of like she's projecting on her in a way, but it is also her attempt at trying to dream for Laverne and trying to get her a better future, and you see that she's safe and finds love.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But it's
she has.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, she has the best intentions at heart, and she's trying her hardest to do this for Laverne, but in the end, she's also kind of doing it for herself. So, the complexities of human selfishness.
It's exactly, yeah. I do feel like it comes back to Shirley's mom. You know, there's this sort of controlling dynamic,
Yeah.
and it's that is, you know, what is comfortable for her. You know, I've observed, you know, as I've gotten older and I've watched the adults around me, and people that I know who are like, you know, they had complicated relationships with their parents, and to watch them become more like their parents, and sometimes it's a positive, and sometimes it actually is a genuinely positive thing. It only really seems to make itself known to me when it is in a negative, where I'm beginning to realize, like, okay, now you're becoming a little more selfish, or you're becoming a little more demanding, or you're becoming more controlling, you're becoming more passive aggressive, things like that. And I mean, like, there's a line towards the end, you know, boy, we are quick to flare, aren't we? And my my note, I might edit this, but it's shut the fuck up, inner Lily Feeney. It just, it was, I was so. Oh, I mean, I would have just shouted my fucking head off if anybody ever said that to me. Which of course is interesting to, you know, to prove the point, but it's like, fine, you want to call me quick to flare, I'll give you a quick flare. But
exactly.
But back on track. That's kind of what I see though with Shirley, is that she is very there is as you said, there is this element to projection. She wants this life for the both of them. She wants to dream for the both of them. And I think she still hasn't figured out, sort of in her mind, the dream for Laverne that fits Laverne. That is Laverne. It's, you know, it's kind of like, because it's the interesting thing we saw like in Debutante Ball, where in some respects she got to see Laverne dancing with the Duke, getting to have this wonderful fairy tale moment. And that was a moment where, you know, it synced up. What Laverne wanted, what Shirley wanted for her, was in sync.
Yes.
But this case in this episode is where it's not, and that leads to the interesting conflict of it. I do also feel part of it of trying to drag them both in the night school situation. I mean, obviously it's for comedy, you know. But it also is interesting that, you know, the quiz that she shows her at the beginning of the episode, you know, do you agree that there are too many helpless or sick people in the world? And you realize it is not a quiz. It's a guided tour into let's rip you off and make you miserable and take your money. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. I have no idea where these classes are taking place. There are definitely high schools that offer night courses that are legitimate. There are definitely colleges that offer night courses that are legitimate. There are definitely all kinds of places where you can go and take lessons like this and not be ripped off. But that's obviously her just quoting the spiel in the brochure.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was run by a young Mr. Fishoder or something. I don't know.
That's how he made his money. That's how he ended up. You got Bob's Burgers on the brain this session.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's too
No, you don't apologize for that. Don't apologize for that ever. No need to apologize at all. I just thought it was interesting that you ended up mentioning it twice. That's cool. As always. Yes. But yeah, in the end, she thinks she's doing the right thing. She thinks she's going to get them that key in the white-collar world. And they can shove in the lock and open up the door, and there's paradise. Right. That's why she's doing it in the end.
Yep. I mean, I guess it matches even the Mouse arc, where there's that line about putting Twinkle in the boiler room and setting him free, and it's like, that is the worst idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in Milwaukee in the early 1960s. Maybe they don't know that they're specifically 1960s compared to us in the 2020s now. But, you know, you don't even need to drive that far away to go find some woodland area. Just chuck him in the forest and let him fend for himself. He's an animal. That's what they do.
Yeah. Like, literally, she could drive Twinkle out to that farm, not where Buttercup is. So that's a very long drive. But still, he'd be safe.
Yeah.
To go be in the country. So it's a better alternative than putting in the boiler room, because I'm sure Edna has poison down there.
Oh, certainly.
Considering how much zeal, she was really super into killing that mouse.
Oh, dude, the
Considering
violent.
How much
yeah.
Go.
I was gonna
Go,
say the
go.
violent Edna face. I love it.
Yeah.
I want her to be like blood-soaked sword in hand over the body
Yeah.
of a bunch of warriors, giving Conan's "What is
Yes.
best in life" speech.
Yes. The look on her face, just as she envisions smashing this mouse's brain in, is just really great acting from Betty Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's so Edna, because she goes into everything with, like, snarky enthusiasm. This time, she is ready to pillage weak countries.
Yeah.
This is what the point
Exactly.
that's
She is
the
ready
point
to
she's
crush her
making
enemies,
spouse.
see them driven before her, and hear the limitations of their women. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Oh.
Indeed, what is best in life. Indeed, what is best in life. I was gonna say the way Laverne and Frank run interference for Shirley here is really sweet.
It is so cute.
The way they're trying to both protect Twinkle and protect her.
Mm-hmm.
And Shirley's like trying to think of a way to let the poor thing go.
Mm-hmm.
You never do find out what happens to Twinkle. They never directly say what happens to him.
Oh
You
man.
can presume Shirley went through with her plan, but she never directly says that I did it. He's free now.
Mm.
Hey.
I don't know. Maybe they. I just had a thought. Laverne comes with a plan, a place that she'll be able to that Twinkle will be able to live, and it takes it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's a good either squalid place that they could live. I don't know. Jake from the Purple Fiends' apartment.
There you go.
Which is probably
Charles Snake Pit.
Yeah, the snake pit.
The
snake pit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or Laverne getting cheeky puts it in Rosie Greenbaum's apartment. Although the mouse will probably last maybe a couple days. Because that's the thing. Edna I think is just simply so fierce and intense that it's and there's interference being run. But I think Rosie, without any interference, I think would murder that thing pretty fast.
Yes. He'd be dead.
Yeah. And look, God, the line about having the little mousy parties was very cute because it gave me.
I know.
Yeah, it
gave. So sweet. It was so sweet.
It gave me Joe's apartment flashbacks.
Yeah. I love Laverne's line. The two of them are crawling to the apartment. You got a lot of dirty people living here.
When I saw him put cheese up and down the stairs.
Yeah. Which is such a Shirley thing.
That's for the mailman.
That is such a Shirley thing, though.
It is. Oh, it
such
totally
a
is.
Shirley thing. And again, this is where her love of animals becomes more part of the character, even more of the season. This is where it starts. Started a little bit last episode, but it becomes really, really important. We saw a little bit of it with Buttercup, with Dwayne and Eddie in previous seasons, but it becomes even more of a part of who she is, starting here and now.
And it's it's a good thing.
Yeah.
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 But anyway.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
God.
No, please go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love Laverne's excuse for not wanting to go to these classes. They got in the way of bowling.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shirley goes, how can you make money bowling? And like they don't have pro leagues. They have pro leagues, Cheryl.
Oh, yeah.
Even then they had pro leagues. You could definitely make money. And Laverne's an excellent bowler.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Laverne's response to that line though. I'll bowl you for $10.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Good money.
Good stuff.
Goodness.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I wonder, when it comes to medical assistants, and Cheryl can be kind of squeamish.
Yeah.
I wonder I wonder how much she realizes what she's getting herself into. I would love, I guess I'm curious. Like, does this arc continue? Like, does she end up getting any sort of further into the medical assistance field?
Actually, no, it does not come up again.
Gosh.
Sadly.
I mean, that is
a one and done plot.
God. Yeah, I mean, because there's again just so much room for comedy, so much room for heartfelt, drama and pathos, and gosh.
Yeah.
Oh well, at least we got Mr. Wilner out of it.
Exactly. I have always thought that Shirley, at the end of her arc, should have been about her either becoming a veterinarian or becoming a pediatrician, something like that. Something she'd be really good at, and something that's in the medical field, because she continuously shows interest in the field beyond just dating the cute hot doctors and dragging them home to her cave and marrying them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it would probably be impossible for her to stay in that field because she faints every time somebody jabs a needle into something on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, Cindy Williams wanted to be in the medical field as well at one point, and she faints at the sight of blood. So that's in a book about Cindy and Penny that was published back in the 70s that a friend of mine was excerpting. Has read. Yeah, and that allowed me to see scans of. So that's an interesting factoid. A very interesting
Indeed.
factoid. Yeah,
And it's another reminder that Shirley is a lot like my mom, or my mom is a lot like Shirley, because my mom tried to be a phlebotomist for a while, and that didn't last.
Oh dear. Oh. Okay.
But yeah, but it's interesting, and also I find it interesting how I'm really curious, Shirley, because this is another thing, talking about like getting into the medical field. A lot of it's about truth, it's about honesty, it's about science, hard science.
Yes.
And I love when she encounters Mr. Wilner and is trying to convince him, is doing the begging, and as you commented, total teacher's pet. Because people do not give two shits, man.
Yeah.
Just welcome to adulthood school, Shirley.
Yeah.
And then she hardcore lies. It's like when she decides to lie, she goes big.
Yes, that's how her tendency towards fantasy living, her tendency towards imagining big things and daydreaming comes right to the fore here. Laverne's off rescuing children from burning buildings. She had to get the smoke pumped out of her stomach.
Yep.
It's such a ridiculous lie. And then Laverne comes in all hale and hearty saying she was teaching some neighborhood girls how to do their first noogies.
Right.
Which was so
Exactly.
cute. It was really
so cute.
And that's when the fire broke out.
God. So we finally got to talk about Hans Conried, the actor. It's okay. So Hans Conried plays Mr. Wilner, the teacher in this episode, aka he is the voice of Captain Hook in Disney's Peter Pan.
Yes, he is.
He was a talented and prolific voice actor and character actor that even after his death in 1982, things are coming out using his voice. I mean, he was probably voicing things in 82 that didn't get finished until like 84, 85. And that's pretty impressive. Now, further impressive is, this is not someone who died young. This is someone who started as an often uncredited bit player all the way back to the 1940s. And when I say he worked a lot, I mean, we're talking like, you look at his credits on IMDb, and he's in 15 movies across a decade. And his filmography is so dense. I mean, he goes from World War II era spy films to 1950s TV. He's even on Rocky and Bullwinkle. He's the voice of Snidely Whiplash.
Yes. So cool.
And then he played the Grinch in one of the later 70s cartoons. He was the slave in the mirror on The Magical World of Disney, which I think is where I recognize him from, because I remember seeing replays of that on the Disney Channel as a child.
Yeah.
But seriously, anyone out there, I've been trying to skirt around this because I just like holding on to this information. But check him out on IMDb. Tip a hat to him and say, Hans, you done good, because I hope he's resting peacefully with a job well done. Feeling of satisfaction, because gosh, what a talent, and he is so good in this part.
Yeah.
I mean that horrifying Good Place level story, and then the punchline, "No, thank you, I'm waiting for the next train."
Yeah. My personal favorite was, what did the late Mr. Repulsi die of? He died teaching night school. and then Shirley takes down the note. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
She says it out loud too. He died teaching night school.
Yeah, my mom got a humongous laugh out of that.
Great.
Super big laugh out of that.
Understandably, because it's a great little moment.
Yep.
Go on. He does a great job. In this episode.
Yeah, he's great, and that's what I mean. It's like he's a jerk, but he's a hilarious jerk. I mean, he is wonderfully, and as we're saying, he's lost his patience. He's been, the first week he may have been a sweetheart to these two.
Yes.
And trying to be patient, cool with it, and the amount of like second chances and all of that being given, and just everything keeps getting harder and harder and harder. Yeah, it's you can see that. I mean, by the time, I love that when he comes back. And Mr. Rapolsky, has been damaged to beyond repair. The way his face, his mouth twitches, the twitch. Oh God, just so good.
Yeah.
Oh man. yeah, the whole physical comedy with the skeleton, with him, I mean, is amazing.
Exactly.
I mean, my mom even pointed out when Laverne's got the skull under her sweater, it looks like little Spunky having make this as the skull imprint from High Score from my horror film.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, which for those who are familiar with my work, my mom was actually the one who did the puppet and actually operated it too. She was the puppet operator for the burst shot,
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But anyway,
Mrs.
yes,
Mom is super talented. You have to remember
she
that.
is.
She is very talented.
That's why she's my super awesome mama.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, but yeah, it's hilarious comedy. The time I love the timing when Laverne tries to escape and Shirley opens the door on her.
Yeah,
like, it's perfect.
Absolutely.
And you even mentioned you can hear Eddie losing in the audience, if I recall.
Yeah,
you can hear his distinctive laugh in the background.
Yeah. You can hear Eddie, Michael, and David at various times in various episodes, absolutely on the soundtrack, cackling. And they all have distinctive laughs. You can absolutely tell that it's them, and that they're off stage waiting for their cues. And they know when to be by X door or in X spot by a certain line. But in the in-between time, they're just watching the girls act. You can hear them just losing it, laughing. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely hear Eddie. You can definitely hear Eddie in this episode. I don't know if he had any scenes cut, because I don't remember him actually being in this episode.
Yeah, he's not in this episode. I was thinking
Neither
about that too, but yeah. I mean, that is unless, just they were going to, or unless they were doing rehearsals for what was coming next or had a meeting or something, or I don't know, just be moral support,
Possibly. One never knows the backstage atmosphere of the show. One never does know.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me, R.E. Laverne's reaction to this whole scenario of trying to go back to school. She is never afraid of anything. We've never seen her really be afraid of much. But when it comes to being in a learning environment, it just takes her right back to high school, and she just becomes afraid of being Dummy DeFazio again. She just seems to develop a social anxiety. For her, that's very fascinating, because it's a trait we have never seen in her. She has this iron confidence in what she can do and what she's good at. So, I think it's a very fascinating episode for that alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of cool that way, and that's at the very least it helps bring out the nervousness, which then leads to the physical comedy. I mean, it's an episode that I think it uses the aspects of these characters quite well. And I think Sotkin, this being his 8th episode, and he'd been working on the show for years, I think that really helped that he understood that world and these characters and these aspects of them so well to be able to utilize that. So it's like, well, we want to have something funny, something physically funny. Here's this opportunity because she's uncomfortable with school. She didn't have a really good high school experience, and it's an educational environments, are rack nerves. So yeah. And I love how she has her own way of trying to memorize these things, like when she does try to pull up to, because the reason for going to Mr. Rapolsky is because I know what this is. It's the joke bone. It's the joke was so funny. It was humorous. It's the humorous.
Yes.
And the Una and Anna, the aunts, and and it's only when she's not paying attention that bam, something happens. Yes. It's an accident, That's also a very poorly assembled skeleton if it was able to come apart and not be put together so well. So I don't know if
very delicate. I know I worked with a skeleton in biology class when I was 15 or so, and my instructor warned me that it's a very delicate skeleton. I don't know if that's just how they're pinned together and then sent into the academic world, but apparently some skeletons have super delicate jointing. The way they pin them in with big-ass metal pins so they won't fall apart.
Right.
So it might just be a skeleton thing that it's a little flimsy, but I hope not. Because obviously they gotta last for a long time. They don't give schools a lot of money for stuff like that. The whole thing about Laverne bringing up the names of the parts of a person's body pays off in a really great joke. I'm gonna break your cranium with my ulma, which is fabulous, and it proves that she knows the material. It proves that she has memorized the material to threaten her roommate and best friend, but she has memorized the material. I love the way that whole little part of the story pays off. I think it's well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Altogether, it's Yeah, it's good stuff. There's a lot of great aspects, and and I felt that their argument and fight that they have,
Yes.
is handled well, and it's an interesting, like, they have to really hash it out. It's not a very, like, it's not a light fight. It's a pretty big one. It's a pretty major one.
Yes. It's not as violent as the one they have in the festival, and various other fights that they're going to have and will have in the future. But it's up there.
Exactly. We have to remember, she's not mad. She only ate 2 scooter pies. When she's mad, she eats 6.
Yeah.
And then she gets pissed off. But
Yep. And puts on a robe and puts her hair up in curlers and glumps.
Yeah, my mom was so demanding. She should apologize to Laverne for guilting her into it. That was really selfish. And then, like, a couple seconds later, I'm sorry, Laverne. I was like,
great.
yeah.
I love when things like that work out that way. So
totally.
Good.
But I love then this moves into the tag scene, which is another Dear Diary segment.
Yes. I got an A+ and Phil Player asked me out. Such a good line.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that, and it's because it works out for Laverne. Also, she looks really good in plaid. Not gonna lie.
Yes.
Not everybody can. I mean, as speaking as someone with just the right complexion that just doesn't work, I really am impressed with people it does work with.
Laverne, and Penny both look great in plaid. You see that in the next episode, Date with Eraserhead. She has this really nice plaid shirt that she wears a lot in season 6, and she looks fabulous. Penny just looks hot for the majority of season 6 and 7, but then that shirt, she looks amazing. That's my little opinion. Yeah, she looks fabulous.
She looks fabulous. It is hard to argue that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fabulous. Underline fabulous. Mm-hmm.
Let's backtrack to the Frank and Laverne scenes. We haven't addressed it.
You're right. My apologies. I jumped. I jumped
Okay.
the ball there.
Good. Because I was gonna mention how sweet it is and how fond it is, and how intimate it is in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Apparently, Frank did some kind of medical or first aid stuff in the army. I helped a lot of people. I thought that was an interesting detail for his character. I love how he brings up Josephine, Laverne's mom, which we won't find out her name is Josephine for a few episodes, but her name's Josephine. Well, somebody will say it here. That her mother was exactly like Laverne in that respect.
Your mama was a dummy?
Don't say that. Don't say that ever. In that she would learn something if she loved it and keep up with it for ages and ages and ages and ages. But if she couldn't grasp it, she'd call herself a dummy and just reject it. And that's really, I love how familial relations work out that way sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's that line, find something you like, you'll be a champ again in no time.
That is such a good line. That's so cute. It's so sweet. And it's pure Marshall sitcom, but it's delivered so well.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sweet.
And even his silly little story about her with the map puzzle pieces, but it's not at that point. What was it, Wyoming? It's like boom, boom, boom. You know where to put it. It's very sweet. It's interesting. We had been angry at Frank in the past, and
deservedly.
That's my note. You want us back, Frankie? Fabrizio, my boy. That's just my note there.
Well, considering how he's been towards Laverne over the past couple of seasons with the I Want Grandchildren stuff, it's understandable when we get frustrated at him. And then he redeems himself in the festival, and he redeems himself in this episode. You go, oh yeah, that's why we like the character. It's like with Carmine. Mm-hmm. Carmine does a rash of horrible things and make us want to kick him in various parts of his anatomy, but then he'll bounce back with the dance studio. Or bounce back and do something good for the girls and go, oh yeah, that's the character we like. So, yeah.
It's one of the issues sometimes with either the showrunners or the way the writers' room is run. That just some characters, they get those inconsistencies, or they decide like, oh, we got to put this in to make it balance it out. And it's like, not necessarily, but yeah, I don't know. The hell do I know? I don't run a TV show. I don't write in a room. I mean, actually, what am I saying? I'm in a room where I write. The hell am I talking about? Okay, never mind. Moving on. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers my most of my main notes I wanted to cover.
I was going to mention a few more things. I loved Laverne's line. The only thing I'm good at, my father would kill me if I did. At the end of this conversation. Oh, man. Also, during the girls' arguments, Shirley hands Laverne a brochure for the courses that are taking place at the school. And Laverne reads out loud, taxidermy, an interesting career for you and your pets.
Oh, God. Oh, that's disgusting. That's disgusting, Cheryl. No. No.
What do you want to do? Do that to Twinkle? No.
That's pretty good. Yeah. And then I do like the one. It's so cool. What is it? Social recreations and
yes.
It's like you recreate. Yeah, or recreations manager. You recreate and then you manage it.
And then the line about how there are a whole bunch of handsome rich guys hanging out at these places where she might get a job, which is really good.
Right. Actually, I actually have that written down. Yeah. Yes. A social director at a resort where wealthy men gather in short pants. A cruise director on a luxury liner with shuffleboard sailor boy. And like they work in a nursery and teach kids, you know, dancing and physical activities and teaching them noogies.
Yeah, which is adorable. That whole bit is adorable. It shows you how well Shirley knows her best friend and how to get her to do something. She knows she likes looking at guys' legs, and she likes hanging out with kids. So there you go. That's how you get your friend to take a course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But altogether, it was good, yeah. And I also wanted to point out my mother liked that it was, you know, Shirley was trying to help her just, you know, get into a higher paying job, you know, so it's not just working at the brewery the rest of her life.
Yeah. And she wants her to be happy, and she wants her not to suffer. And in Shirley's mind, the two of them are going for the stars. The two of them are going to be high class, playboy wives that shop at fancy department stores. And don't have to put things back because they're too expensive. That's where her head is, and that's what she wants.
And then accidentally take a scarf that then leads to them getting put in jail.
Yep. And then eventually end up on death row for accidentally robbing a bank. We'll get there.
Blink, 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 blink.
Season 8. Yeah. Season 8.
I feel like is this the moment where I'm Ripley and you're the alien from Alien 3? I'm just like season 8.
Yeah, here comes the second head and a little long neck just shooting out of my mouth.
Oh God! Now I want to Photoshop that now, where it's gonna be me as put my face on Ripley, then yours is the alien, and then mouth open, and you have the little season 8 DVD sticking out.
I had a running joke with one of my friends that the eventual season 8 DVD, because we waited a long time for the last few seasons to come out, the eventual season 8 DVD should have been sold in a paper sack with a marker drawing of Carmine on it and several pictures of Squiggy taped to the back. Because that's what season 8's like.
Oh, man. Oh, that's going to be
We'll get there.
That's going to be something.
Yeah. Deep hurting.
We're not even halfway through the series, honey.
Deep hurting. Deep hurting.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, I guess anyway, but back on track to things that are pleasant that we liked and that we did like. Let's talk about the things that we did. We talked the things we liked. So now we got to tally up them drive-in totals.
Yes. Okay.
Because it did have skeleton foo. I think Joe Bob Briggs would be satisfied with that.
No boobs though. He'd be so disappointed.
Yeah. No. Zero naked breasts. I mean. Okay, before I forget, did you notice? I noticed this on the second time that I watched it. It's when she's pointing out all the stuff. Scroll back up. So I wrote this number down. Geranium, the sternum. Show us anything. When the teacher takes a seat, just show us anything. And this is where his hair was. The background actors are trying to keep it in. This little thingy was. And then his face, you cut to his face suddenly reacting. And when you cut back to what she was pointing at, she's pointing at his junk.
Welcome to Family Hour once again, kid.
So it keeps it, it keeps it as tame as it can but it's like if you catch that, so I think they cut it. I wonder if S&P basically said, no.
Possibly. It's possible that also it's a syndication edit, so it could be aired in the middle of the daytime.
God, also possible.
That is somehow such a Laverne thing to do, by the way.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is such a Laverne thing to do.
Yeah. This is where his hair was, and this is where his fun parts were.
Her favorite part.
Oh no. The best part.
Yeah. I had to mention before we go to Grey's, the best line one of the best lines in the episode is Shirley's final remark in her diary, P.S. Where is the justice? It's such a great.
Oh, knowing what's ahead, I have to say the justice died a long time and got buried. But,
oh,
okay,
trust me, yes, it dies. Oh, it dies violently. It dies a horrifying death.
Yep, it does.
Our regular commenter, Amy, on our YouTube channel, remarked that watching season 8 is like watching your friend drown and then a shark starts coming towards them. And that's accurate.
Oh, God. Yeah, that would probably be my luck if I ever fell off the boat in the ocean. Goodness gracious. Anyway, ranking. So, what'd you give this one?
This one is a solid 8 for me. It's really cute. It's really nice, beautiful message about finding your true self. It's a nice feminist message, too, about finding what you're good at. And for a woman in the 60s to find your calling and pursue your calling, pursue higher education when you're a blue-collar worker is a very, very powerful statement to make.
Mm-hmm.
The scene with Frank and Laverne is adorable. Top 10, one of their best talks. Everything with the girls, differing ambitions, and the two of them figuring out how to make themselves happy without hurting each other is solid and beautifully done. Hans Conried is so good. He's so good. He's such a good, exasperated, horrified teacher. And the whole Twinkle subplot is hilarious and adorable. Mm-hmm. So it's an 8 for me. Where are you running?
I'm thinking the same. I think a good solid 8. Yeah, it's the great mixture of it's funny, it's sweet, it's poignant, it's got a good message, it's got kind of social commentary. It's and you're right. Yeah, the feminist angle of it is fantastic. I mean, my mother, watching my mother, who grew up during the time when this was when the show was taking place, she commented that this was one she really enjoyed because of the fact that there was definitely a sense that even though it was kind of cruel that Shirley manipulates her into going with her, that she the goal though and the sisterhood that comes out of it at the end was really important, and also that Laverne gets to finally feel accomplished at something, and or I should say not finally, but just we haven't seen her get to have a really good victory in a while. Especially this season, we've seen her take a lot of knocks, and so this was a good way of her getting back up on top again.
Exactly.
And Hans, man, I would have loved to have seen that character return, just to see him as different characters that get flustered by him. He's the guy at the bakery or the supply store where Pop has to go get supplies and Laverne has to go do a run for flour and eggs and stuff like that, as a distributor, a supplier. He could go to work at Shot's Brewery for whatever reason. There could be the weird flip side that he gets along really well with Lenny and Squiggy for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ways it could have been used, but yeah, he was an incredibly prolific actor, and that's just kind of what happens. But like I said, this is what happens with these great guest characters. Sometimes they just never come back, but it's good stuff. This is really good.
Yeah. I was going to say Hans Conried would have been a great casting choice for Squiggy's Uncle Elliot.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We hear about him. He's always used as a plot device. We never see Uncle Elliot. He would have been a great choice for that, I think.
He would have been amazing. Gosh,
Yeah.
and we're not in the worst timeline per se because we've had a lot of good things in this timeline,
Yes.
but we are definitely in one that is not quite as bright as I'm sure there's another one that's a little better for more reasons than just a TV show. I swear, but yes. All right, so excellent. I guess if that's it, I guess yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, please find us at Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, and Patreon as well, or Night After Night PC on Twitter. You can drop us a bone, throw us some comments, throw us some actual bones for the Patreon, get some incentives going. And it's a good time. We enjoy doing the show. We hope you enjoy it as well. It's just we just hope that whatever memories that you have with us, that you don't want to erase them at any time, But anyway, on that note, Lisa, what do we have next for our lovely audience?
It's the Peaceable's 10th anniversary, and Shirley and Carmine are breaking up. Will they make up? This is Date with Eraserhead.
Oh, I'm sure I'll probably like it. All right. Well, I guess we'll see how things go, and catch us next week, everybody.
Have fun, y'all. See you soon.